Hey guys, how's it going? It's Liam Sheriff here from liamsheriff.com, and in today's video blog I'm actually going to explain a little bit further about cortisol. Now, last week we talked about cortisol quite extensively, and we talked about the relationship between spikes in cortisol and elevated cortisol levels during running and during basically endurance, typical cardio exercising. Today I'm actually going to take that a little bit further and explain basically the rhythm in which cortisol actually circulates over a 24-hour period. As I'm talking at the moment, you should be seeing a diagram that shows that cortisol actually spikes pretty high in the morning, around about 6 AM in the morning. And the reason it does this is because we need cortisol to give us that get up and go. So it'll actually spike around about 6 when it wants us literally to get up and go and basically go and do whatever we need to do, which is obviously our daily tasks, get ready for work and things like that. Throughout the course of the day, cortisol will then continue to rise till around about 10 or 11 or even up to midday, whereas it'll start to then peak and start coming back down over the afternoon. Now, the relevance of this is many years ago our ancestors used to do most of the work, if you like, in the morning. So they used to go out and do all the collecting, all of the hunting for food, generally in the morning, and then they would use the afternoon to basically relax and chill out and have some time with the family and the tribe, etc. So what you'll find is cortisol is actually responsive to light. Sorry, I forgot to mention that before, and it'll be basically spiking nice and high in the morning, around 6 o'clock in the morning, get us out hunting and gathering, let's say, or doing our tasks, and then post sort of 2 PM in the afternoon, cortisol should then start to come down. Now, the reason it continues to come down up until around about 10 PM where it's at its lowest is basically because, as I said before, it regulates your sleep. So on an evening, around about 9 or 10 o'clock at night, you want cortisol levels to be extremely low. The reason for that, as we mentioned just before there, is if cortisol is high, then you're going to struggle to sleep. So if you're doing prolonged cardio endurance training within the last couple of hours of actually going to bed on a night, then you're actually putting yourself at risk of elevating cortisol levels really high. Not only, as we discussed in previous articles, does this mean that you're at risk of storing fat around the stomach, but also just generally retaining fat as a whole. You also put yourself at risk of not sleeping. The downside of not sleeping correctly is that cortisol is there and it kind of wants us to sleep from 10 at night until 6 in the morning. From 10 till 2 we do physical repair, and then from 2 until 6 you do psychological repair. So you're probably thinking, what does this have to do with fat loss? Well, if you cut into the physical repair from 10 to 2, 10 PM till 2 AM that is, then your body isn't replenishing cells, it's not regrowing muscle tissue, it's basically not resting and recovering it sufficiently enough in order to metabolize fat. The downside of this is that you cause an erraticness with cortisol levels. And as we mentioned, not only during cardio but also being stressed, and subsequently if you're not sleeping right, then your cortisol levels are going to be extremely high, and if they're high, you're going to struggle to shift weight. So basically what you've got to try and do is make your sleep and wake cycle as regular as you possibly can, and the easiest way to do that is to basically try and get to sleep by about 10 PM at night and try and wake up somewhere around about 6 PM. Sleeping correctly is one of the most underestimated tactics or protocols of fat loss. However, if you get it right and you can remain a consistent sleep-wake cycle throughout the weeks or even months, then you'll start to basically realign cortisol levels and bring them back within the normal circadian rhythm. If so, your chances and your improvement in weight loss will be quite dramatic. So, aside from cortisol just being elevated during aerobic training, it's there to actually regulate your sleep pattern. Okay, meant to be high in the morning, low in the evening so that you sleep. If you're not sleeping, you're missing out on valuable repair and regrowth. If you're not repairing and regrowing, then you're going to struggle seriously to drop weight. Get your sleep right, train right, and obviously eat right, and you'll be able to drop a lot more fat a lot faster. Enjoy.